Welcome to the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a show that is a central hub and safe space for authors to share their stories. The Bold Book with Dr. Denise begins now.
Hello, welcome to the Bold Book of the Day podcast. This podcast is for anyone looking for inspiration. Today, I have a bold author, another bold author, of course. I'm thrilled to welcome Abel. She's the author and storyteller and social media sensation. And she has a new memoir. It's called High Hopes. It chronicles how, at 60 years old, she took a life-changing trip to Australia to follow Bruce Springsteen's tour. 8 concerts, 5 cities, 26 days, all while battling a lifelong depression. So please welcome Anne Abel to our podcast. Welcome, Anne.
Thank you so much for having me, Denise. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're so welcome. And let's start at the beginning. Let's start there. What inspired you to write High Hopes?
Okay, well, at the age of 59, I had never been to a concert. My parents didn't believe in music or fun. And as a matter of fact, in 1964, when 73 million people tuned into the Ed Sullivan Show to watch the Beatles, 12-year-old me was not one of them. My mother saw me turning on the television and she said, "It's a waste of time. Go to your room and do something constructive." Now, I suffer with severe depression. I had ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, 3 times. I've been hospitalized twice. I've tried TMS, transmagnetic cranial, 20 inch. I've tried everything. So at 59, I had never been to a concert. But then Labor Day weekend, my son and daughter-in-law, a second-generation Springsteen fan, came at the last minute to Philadelphia to visit because they were going to a Bruce Springsteen concert. I knew nothing about the man, and I had absolutely no interest in seeing him. But a few hours before the show, I decided I would push myself up off the couch and go because I wanted to spend time with my kids.
Yeah.
That summer, I had undergone my 3rd regimen of ECT, and it had to be stopped halfway through because I was losing my memory because of the treatment. As a result, I didn't remember the July wedding of my son and daughter-in-law. So as we waited for the concert to begin, they were showing me thousands and thousands of wedding photos on their phones and telling me stories about the wedding that I had no memory of. And it felt so good to be there with them sharing this. And then the crowd mysteriously rose in unison, and I rose too. Now remember, I had never been to a concert. I didn't know what a Bruce Springsteen was. I rose too, and I looked up, and there on the giant screen was the face of a man with the biggest, kindest smile I had ever seen. And for the next 3+ hours, that man's energy, enthusiasm, and humanity lifted me. For 3+ hours, Bruce Springsteen made me feel like I had a chance. He made me feel alive. Next Saturday, my husband and I went to Chicago to see him at Wrigley Field. And for the rest of the fall, I went to concerts wherever I could drive. Then a year later, fall 2013, after having one desk too many thrown at me at the Community College of Philadelphia, where I had taught for 5 years, 5th week of the semester, I walk out the door and I think, that's it. I am never coming back. But as soon as I was in my car making a U-turn, I was panicking. I was terrified that with my sons grown and living on opposite coasts and my husband traveling without the structure and focus of the classroom, I'd fall back into the abyss. I wasn't doing ECT again. It had been a disaster the 3rd time. I had all sorts of long-term side effects. I wasn't going inpatient. I was 60 years old. I knew myself as well as any mental health person. And then as I'm merging onto the expressway home, I remembered somewhere I had seen that Bruce Springsteen was going to be touring in Australia in February. This was October. And I thought, that's it. I'll go and follow the tour. And I went home. I didn't say hello to my dogs. I sat down without taking off my coat. I Googled Australia travel agents, wrote to the first 5 who came up on the screen, and the first one who called me the next day, I booked a trip. 8 concerts, 5 cities, as you said, 26 days. But the thing is, I hate to travel. I hate to be alone. And I hadn't known who this guy was a year earlier, but I was fighting for my life. I
Yeah.
was terrified. I was terrified of this trip. For the first 3 months, I just put it out of my mind. But as soon as I did it, and this is how, I mean, my depression is so bad, the voice in my head is so negative. I got the tickets, they FedExed me the itinerary. I didn't even look at it. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want it to be that real.
Yeah.
I threw the FedEx envelope in my desk drawer. And I thought, the deal is sealed. I'm doing it. And then the voice in my head said, "You're doing what? And Abel, you are so pathetic that you have nothing better to do with your life than chase an aging rock star across the world." And it was over and over, this voice looped. But it was horrible. It was the first thing I heard in the morning, the last thing as I wrestled myself to sleep. But it was there, but I didn't want to go. If I could have just disappeared from the world and not left anyone sad behind me, I would have done that. And depressed people, severely depressed people think, "Oh, you're going to see Bruce Springsteen. You must have thought it was going to be so much fun." First of all, I'm not very good at the 3-letter F word. I had never done it until I went to my first Bruce Springsteen concert, but fun was the last thing on my mind when I thought about this trip. I tried not to think about it, but then a month before the trip, January 1st, I could no longer ignore that in exactly 28 days, I would be on a 16-hour flight alone to the other side of the world. And by now, I couldn't even remember what I liked about Bruce Springsteen. So what do? I sat down and Googled him. And I had never, if you can believe it, watched a YouTube video before, but it was the first thing at the top of my screen, Super Bowl 2009, and I clicked on it. And there on a halftime stage, surrounded by a football field of cheering, clapping fans, Bruce Springsteen took the mic, leaned into the camera, and said, "Is there anybody alive out there?" Chills just went running through me, and I remembered why, on that day I quit my job, I had decided instinctively to follow his tour. Bruce Springsteen gave me hope. Bruce Springsteen was fun.
Oh, wow.
And I did not go on this trip to change, not at all. I went for the structure and focus. But I will tell you, I came home a different person, and that trip was the first step in a transformation that is going on today, to this day. I was 60, I'm now 72. People say to me, "What would your younger self say if they saw you now?" And I say, I'm 72. If my 71-year-old self saw what I'm doing today, she would say, "You're delusional. It must be a different Ann Abel." It's just been one baby step after another, and just doing one thing I'm terrified of, but doing it. I never let fear stop me from doing something if I think it will be good for me, which is why I ended up with 3 regimens of ECT and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because you thought it was going to work out.
Yes.
And then I'm sure it helped in some ways, but the side effects were just not worth it.
Third time, the side effects were just horrendous. Right.
Yeah. So do you think it was really the Bruce Springsteen himself, or was it more about you finally allowing yourself to just step into being radical?
No, I'm not radical. Trust me, I'm not radical. It was 2 things. It was 2 very specific things. The kindness of strangers in Australia had a big impact on me. At home, people rolled their eyes that I was following Bruce Springsteen across the world. They didn't appreciate, care, or understand that I was fighting for my life. But in Australia, many strangers told me I was courageous. Young people told me they couldn't get their mothers to get off the couch to go to a movie or volunteer at a church bazaar, things they had done before they retired. And, this was like, each time someone would say something like that to me, I didn't believe it, but I would step outside myself and try to see the me these people were describing. So that was a big thing. The second thing was Bruce Springsteen. And I believe we see art through the prism of our own eyes, through our own experiences. And so I saw him on stage. The magic of his, he has a, he casts a magic spell on me when he's on stage. And it just opened me up. And there were so many transcendent moments in different songs and different things he said where it allowed me to find things that were so deep inside me that I hadn't known they were there.
Yes.
So I think it was a combination of, and maybe another thing was for 26 days, I was by myself. The only people I talked to were people I was paying to drive me or, seatmates at a concert occasionally. So when I started to slip or I started to feel really bad and I was having trouble with one of my sons, I mean, I was going through a lot of stuff. I wasn't just going to concerts. I was wrestling with a lot of really difficult family situations.
Yes.
And there were times where I could just see myself, teetering on the edge of the abyss. And I learned how to I learned how to sit with the emotion, number one. Like I got so lonely over 26 days, I got exponentially more and more lonely. I learned to not, you just sit there. It's just a feeling. You sit there and you feel it. And then it goes, and then you're still there and the feeling's gone. So there was a certain strength I got in realizing that I could do it, that I could handle myself. I could keep myself from the abyss, even under some difficult situations. Like I, with the help of these strangers and some concerts and just a lot of self-talk and just survival. I was just trying my hardest to cope, and I did it. And I did.
You saw how by going through this, it wasn't just about the concert. It was about you, how resilient you were, how you were creative, how you had bold strength despite feeling the weakness of depression. You had bold strength moving into a space where you had no familiarity because you're going to the other side of the world, and yet you found strength and you saw how strong you were.
And I think I realized, looking back on many things in my life, that an important, I'm writing a third memoir called She Tried and She Tried and She Tried. And I used to tell my kids I want them to write that on my tombstone, because that's what I do. I'm always trying. But it's not enough to just try. As I'm looking back, I'm realizing that when I did all these many of them I didn't want to do. My first dog, for 10 years, I didn't want a dog. I got it from my son. The moment I met her, I loved her. The second dog, which is what my second book is about, he was a terror. I didn't want to walk a dog, never mind train one. But I fell in love with him. When I went to this psychiatric hospital, I was terrified. I didn't want to go. But when I got there, I appreciated the camaraderie. I was open to the camaraderie. I loved the food. And actually, the last week there, I improbably spearheaded after-hours silk screening sessions in the art room to make T-shirts that said, "I heart Shepherd Pratt." I mean, I was there. I was just taking it all in. I wasn't like, "Oh, I don't belong here. I don't want to be here." It was like, okay, I'm here. I feel horrible. I'm terrified to be in this high-class nut house, another nut in this high-class nut house, but I'm here. Let me connect. I mean, so it's being open and connecting with the other people there. And so I think you need to be persevering, but I think you need to also be open as you persevere, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. So you've tried medications, and then you've tried electroshock treatments, and you've tried everything.
Cognitive therapy, and this TMS, which is transmagnetic cranial stimulation. I mean, really, anything that someone suggested, I wanted to get better. I wanted to feel better.
Yes.
But I didn't. I am so much better now. My parents died 5 years ago. That helped a lot. And also this trip. it was what I came back in 2014, and it's just been one thing, one baby step after another, new things that I've been doing. Now I'm 72. I have 2 books. I mean, I suffer with severe writer's block too. I have 2 books now. I'm a social media influencer, and I moved from we went from Philadelphia to Chicago with my husband for his job for 4 months in 2016. After 6 months, I said, I'm not going back. He commuted from Philadelphia to Chicago, and then it was taking a toll on him. So I said, all right, let's move to New York. So 7 years ago, my husband and I moved to New York. He commutes to Philadelphia for his job. But so here I am in this life. I never would have seen this for myself 12 years ago.
But you are not afraid to try new things, even when you're afraid to try new things.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid. Believe me, I'm afraid.
You do it scared. You do it afraid. And you do it anyway.
Yeah. I do not let fear stop me with. I don't. Or if I did, I would be in bed. I would be under the bed.
That's a big lesson for our audience, to do it scared. You will have emotions. You will have these feelings, but address the feelings and do it scared.
I used to say to my kids when they were afraid to do something, I mean, they weren't jumping off buildings or anything, but I'd say, what's the worst that could happen? Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. And if you fail, but at least you tried, and you have this, like, I believe for me, my mother, oh God, starting when I was 11, she used to say to me, if you don't marry someone Jewish, I'll disown you. I was 11 years old. I didn't even know really what disown meant, but I could tell it wasn't good. So, and she started sending me to mixers, and then they decided I had to be a chemical engineer when I went to college, even though I never got above a C in math or science. But I used to say to her, before I'd go off to another mixer, I'd say, okay, but when I'm home living on the 3rd floor with a cat on my lap, on Saturday night in the rocking chair, you won't be able to say it's because I didn't try. Like, I didn't think I would ever find someone I wanted to marry who wanted to marry me, but it wasn't. But at least I would know that I tried. What more can you ask of anyone than that they do their best? And if you do your best, that's good enough. For me, that's a consolation. If I try something and I do my best and it's not the best, well, what more can I do than that?
That's one of the 4 agreements that I practice by Don Miguel Ruiz, one of the books that I read for self-development when I was going through my depression and taking everything personally. I just learned, just do your best. And it doesn't matter what people say about you, as long as you've done your best.
Yeah, if they say you're a loser, well, maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but you tried. And so you have that self-respect that you tried.
And many of our listeners, they struggle with making bold moves in their own lives. What advice would you give to someone who says, I want to take a leap. I want to do something big. I want to do anything. I want to get out there in the world and do some of the things that you just mentioned. Like, you're now a social media influencer and you're a new author. What about those people who want to take a leap like you did, but they are just too afraid? What advice do you have for them?
Well, 2 things. Today's post, someone who I recognize his name sent a comment, and he said, Anne, I'm moving to a new country and I am terrified. What do you think? And I said, this was a post. Had been a post about this new book. And I said, look, yes, it's terrifying to move to a new country. It's terrifying. Just baby step. Just take it one step. Just do one step and then the other. And while you're doing, and I wrote in the comment, well, I mean, I don't know, this is just my opinion, and when you're taking that one step, just be in that moment of that step. Don't be thinking about this step 4 steps down. Just be doing that one step, and you'll do it. And then you'll do another step, and that was what I wrote to him. Now, in terms of me, a year ago, so my first book came out April 2024, and the publisher said to me, you should go on social media to promote this book. To me, social media was Facebook. Someone had put me on Facebook 15 years ago. I didn't want to do it. But one day my dog walker came in and I said to her, do you know anyone who does social media? So she gave me the name of this 19-year-old computer science major at CUNY. His name's Arseni, who did our social media for her company. Well, I now call Arseni Maestro, or the boss. I do what he says. And here's the crazy thing. So we started doing these things that I had written, telling stories. I was telling stories. Well, I don't know what to do. And
Yeah.
people started writing. Anne, your voice is so soothing, so calming. You're relatable. You're interesting. And it was like, what are these people? I didn't get it. My father, every night at the dinner table, would say to me, you can listen, but don't speak. And until the days each of them died, my parents told me not to talk to them because I had nothing interesting to say.
Mm.
Social media was telling me something different. It was, if it were the antidote to my parents' toxicity, which isn't to say that I wake up in the morning and go, wow, it's another great day to tell a great story. And
Right.
Senny doesn't tell me in advance what videos we're going to do, because when he does, I say, no, I can't do that, because I don't feel like the person people describe. But when he says 3, 2, 1, go, I turn off my brain and I just go. So, it takes a lot, I imagine, to feel, I'm 72, after having this mindset for all these years, and I wake up, I'm better than I have ever been in my life, really. But I wake up in the morning and I just feel hard. I feel like such a loser. I mean, I have this pit in my stomach. My husband reminded me that Friday he was out of town and he called and I said, I know everything's good and I know there's nothing wrong, but I just feel really horrible. And I have to like say, okay, turn off your brain, just go eat breakfast, I love reading newspapers, and then the one thing that helps me all the time is working out.
Mm-hmm.
And I do it every day that my body isn't rehabbing,
Yes.
but still, and I say to my husband as I'm going, oh, I feel so bad. He goes, this is your worst part of your day. And I get there, I'm about to get on the elliptical and I feel so horrible. And even though it helps every single day, I don't believe in my gut that it's going to help. And I say to myself, really, I do this every day. I say to myself, just take this as an experiment. Just get on, and at the end, see if you feel better. And that's how I do it. And I do it 1 minute at a time. It's like, okay, just try it. And I literally count down the minutes, and I do it for 45 minutes. And you get on, you have 45 minutes to go. It's pretty daunting to me. So I just say to myself, just do 1 minute. Worry about minute 44 when you get to 44. I swear I do this until the very end, and I do feel better, but I have to go through this whole game with my mind every day. So I try really hard to feel good.
And you've built such a community of uh, a huge hundreds of thousands of people on TikTok. Why do you think these stories resonate so powerful with strangers when others have told you you have nothing to, you have nothing interesting to say? Why do you think it's such so powerful to the listeners?
Well, the others who said it were to a large degree my parents, so I don't know that I don't know how many they represent, but certainly they're the voice in my head. A couple things. Here, I'll just give this one example. We did a video last Christmas here in New York. It's called Bryant. It's some kind of holiday park. They have vendors and all this. And we went there and we did it. It didn't, it was just like, here's Bryant Park. Look at this, look at that.
Yeah.
We posted it. And this woman wrote to me and she said, Anne, I was having trouble getting into the holiday spirit, but watching your video gave me a glimmer of hope. And I still get the chills when I remember seeing that. And my tagline is now sharing stories, finding hope, because I truly, truly believe that sometimes by sharing our stories with one another, we can offer each other a glimmer of hope or inspiration and sometimes even fun. But, we're not in this alone. And, one of the things about Bruce Springsteen, like he would, a song like, I won't go into, but okay, here's one. He got
Yeah,
up on
go into it. Yeah.
going back and forth and saying, how do you get through the day? How do you get through the day and stay alive inside? And
Mm.
watching him go back and forth, I thought, if Bruce Springsteen can say this to an arena full of fans, I must not be the only one feeling like this. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to struggle and to try and try again. It was so validating to have him stand there and say that to thousands of people. Like, okay, I'm not, for some reason, it felt better knowing if other people were doing it, I could do it. I could do it too.
Yes. And that is one thing that I realize that community needs. They need to know that you're not alone in your struggle. You're not alone when you're feeling something that you just it's a hindrance for you, it's a hurdle for you, but you're not alone. If you just start to step out in faith or just start to move, you will realize that there are other people that are going through this, and if they can do it, you can too. And if someone hasn't done it, then you can be an example of someone that's resilient and can get through it.
There's lots of really hard things in life physically, horrible things that happen to you physically, mentally, but for me, it just really helps when I've been in the hospital with bad things, connecting with the nurse,
Mhm.
the person who comes in and sweeps the floor. I mean, those moments, like, it just lifts me out of myself. And there's a connection. You're not just floating alone in this outer, space. You're connected to something.
Yeah.
Connections are really important to me.
Absolutely. And how do you decide what to share publicly versus what to keep private? Because sometimes I've watched some of your episodes, and when I look at the comments, people are so judgmental. How do you decide what to share and what to keep private?
Okay, well, to be honest, Arsenio and I are new at this. And I'm 100% honest. You meet me on the street and I'll tell you anything you want to know. But, and in this book, there's things in there that not everybody, I think, would write about. Not just about myself, but about my family.
Yeah.
But it's my story, and these are things that really hurt me, impacted me. So I feel I'm entitled to tell my story. Now, social media, I guess, might be a little something else, but you're right. People are so judgmental, but you know what? I think there's a lot of really angry people out there, people who are really suffering. And I think instead of looking inside themselves, they just project it on other people. I read a thing, Melissa McCarthy, years ago. Someone did a review of her, and he said something like, she gets so much out of being fat and stupid. I mean, it was a really horrible thing to say.
Yeah, people can be so mean.
And in this interview, she said, look, this man must be really suffering. He's in pain, and this is how he deals with it. And I think people project their own things onto me.
Yeah.
Do I like it? No. I mean, I don't know that you ever get used to people saying, oh God, I mean, they don't like my teeth. One woman wrote to me recently, I love your stories, but you really need to whiten your teeth because it's distracting. Yeah.
People are so brave behind behind on the internet, behind the keyboard. They can just feel so brave to say whatever it is that comes to their mind, and they couldn't take it.
And that, yeah, you can, yes, but then what's crazy is you get some of those, and then you get a slew of comments of people saying, one woman last week said, Anne, you wore that sweater before, you've got to get rid of it. Then there's four of them and say, Anne, that sweater looks so nice on you. But she's like, You've worn that before. You've got to get. I mean, I can't remember them. I try not to internalize them.
Please, we love you. So, what's the most surprising or moving response you've ever received from someone on the internet, on social media?
Well, I mean, I get a lot of them. And also from reading Maddie, Milo, and Me, people were really moved. But way back at the beginning when I mean, it's still surreal. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I go out on the street, people, you know what's crazy? Young people, the other day I was on 30, I don't know where are you located?
I'm upstate in New York, in Rockland, New York.
Okay, well, I was on 34th Street downtown in New York. I'm crossing the street and this black SUV goes by and this young kid, he couldn't have been more than 16. He throws himself out the window. He goes, "And Abel, I love you." And a doctor's office said that she heard my voice coming from her brother's room and she went in there and he follows me on TikTok. She said, of course, I didn't tell him that, whatever. I said,
Right.
Young people write to me all the time and they stop me on the street and say, "You're so inspiring. It's so good to know that if you don't get it right away, you can still get where you want to go." I get a lot of that from you. I mean, because it always surprises me on the street when young women and some young boys will say that, but it's inspiring to know that it can happen when you're 71 years old.
You are inspiring, Anne. And even just reading through the comments, I hear and see other people saying that they're starting to write because because you're writing. So you are inspiring. And many of your followers also are dreaming of writing their own stories, but they feel scared or unqualified. So what's your advice for them?
I'll tell you, I was terrified of doing this. Had gotten into this thing called storytelling when we lived in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get good at storytelling. So actually what happened was I came back from Australia, and for the first time in my life, the big thing that was different about me was that for the first time in my life, I had a positive ball of energy and a story about me that I was proud of, a story I wanted to tell. I had been a writer. I'd gone back to school in my 40s, so I wrote for newspapers. I could write anything anyone asked me to write. But say they asked me to write about a tree in my backyard they thought was nice. No problem, 5,000 words, whatever you want. But if I looked at that tree and thought, wow, I really like that tree, I want to write about it, within 2 minutes, I'd be under my desk. Because if it was my idea, it was so what? So what? Who cares? And that's the story. So my husband went from my husband's job to Chicago, and the first day there, another dog walker, I said, "What do you do when you're not walking dogs?" And she said, "Well, I host a storytelling open mic. There's a string of them across the city, and I also tell stories at the Moth." Now, I had never heard of storytelling. I had never heard of the Moth, but I knew I had one story to tell. I had never stood in front of a mic or on a stage. But I forced myself to go to open mics and try to tell the Australia story. You have 7 minutes. Then a friend of mine, a new friend, said, "We're going to the Moth." So we went. We got there. He said, "You're going to put your name in to tell a story." Of course, I was terrified, but of course, I didn't let that stop me. And I put my name in. I was called as the 10th. You get 10 storytellers a night. I was the 10th one. I literally stumbled on the stairs as I was going up to the stage. I couldn't see the audience. The lights were so bright. But as I spoke, I could hear them laughing and gasping. And I told a 5-minute story about Australia. And I won that night's story slam. And people had so many questions that it inspired me to want to sit down and write the story. And for 3 months, I didn't do it. And after 3 months, had such self-loathing because I wasn't doing it. I was just so angry at myself for not doing it. So I said to myself, look, you work out every day. You don't question it. You do it. Today, after you work out, you're going to go sit at your desk for 2 hours. You're going to, from 11 to 1, you're going to sit there. And I started to write, and I did it. And I will tell you, anything that popped into my head, I just wrote it down, because if I started to think, does that belong? I'd have an empty screen. the first draft of this book was 1,000 pages. I mean,
Mm.
it has anything that had ever happened to me up until that point was in that draft. But just do it. I love the Nike thing. Just do
Just
it.
do it. Yes.
That's so, just
Motivating.
get on the bike,
Yeah.
just sit on it. You just do it. Don't think about it. Don't question it. Just do it. And then you feel so good after the 2 hours, and
Yes.
that's what I say. Just try to turn off the negative voices and just channel it. Like just channel for 2 hours, do 1 hour, whatever you think you can do, or half an hour. Start with 5 minutes. When I haven't been able to work out for a long time and I go back on, I start like with 10 minutes, and every day I add like 5 minutes, just little steps. You just have to keep going. I mean,
Yes.
that's I think.
I love that. Just do it. Just keep going. Now, where can people get your book? Because it seems like you're an inspiring person and you're full of hope. And I love that your book is called High Hopes, because just seeing you on the internet and then speaking with you here, I realized that that's who you are. You just have high hopes. So
That's
where
also
can
was
you
the
get your
name of the
book?
tour. That was also the name of the tour I followed, was the High Hopes tour.
Oh, I love
How,
it.
how perfect is that? You can go to pretty much anywhere books are sold, you can get
Yes.
it, but Amazon has them. You can or Barnes and Noble, Bookshop.
Yes. Do you have your own website?
Yes, I do, and you can go to links there. It's Anne, Anne, Abel, Anne, no, Anne, Abel, author.com. So www.annabel. And then my social media handles are Anne, Annesima. That's my middle name. Annesima Abel, Abel.
You guys, you must go out and get Anne's book, High Hope, and you will be inspired and motivated to do big things and to take big steps.
Or take baby steps.
Or take baby steps, right? Because you just want people to move, just take a step. That
Right.
is, yeah, I love it. Now, and I love to ask 3 questions to my authors when they come up here. And one of the question I have is, or the first of the 3 is, what's one bold promise that you can share with the audience?
One bold promise about what? To myself?
No, a bold promise that you can share them, that if you were to do this, I promise you it will do, just like you said, just do it. Just take baby steps.
Okay, well, I don't usually like to make statements like that. I'm not comfortable. That's a little authoritative for me. I speak from I only share me. I don't say, like you were talking about judge those people. I don't like to judge other people. Everyone has different ways of doing things. And so I like to say, show what I do. And if you think that will work for you, then try it. And
Yes.
I guess, as I said, something for myself is I just try. I really do. And of course, right now we're just talking about the tries that succeeded. Believe me, there's lots of tries that didn't go.
Yeah.
But I said this on my way to the last concert I went to in Australia for Bruce Springsteen. It was the 8th. And I was thinking, he did 7 great ones. He's a great performer, but you don't expect a great baseball player to hit a grand slam at every game. He did. I mean, Bruce Springsteen did that night, so he does. But you don't succeed at everything, and I don't strive for perfection.
Yes.
Like, good enough is good. Sometimes good enough really is good enough. You don't have to be perfect with much, unless you're a surgeon or a doctor, maybe.
I've lived long enough to come to the conclusion that perfection is an illusion.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we know where to get the book, High Hopes, and we know
Randy Milo and Me, people like that one too. That's very It's about perseverance. It's another story of perseverance and not giving up on another living being or yourself. It's about not giving up on yourself or any living being.
Now, what's a bold statement that you can share with the audience that may cause a paradigm shift?
I mean, something that will really change them a lot.
Yes,
Just do it. If something
yep,
pops into your head, just do it. Just
that will
as
change
long
who
as
you
you're not
are.
going to
Yeah.
hurt someone or yourself, just if it pops into your head, try it and do it.
And what's a bold move that you'd like to make in the future?
Oh, to be honest, I'd like to write a third memoir. I'd like to overcome that's for me, that would be pretty bold to overcome writer's block one last time. I figure I have a few more years ahead of me. I'd like to, that's my next struggle is to overcome writer's block and write this third book.
Well, it seems like you've already overcome writer's block a number of times because writing a book, writer's block doesn't just come up once. There are different times that it comes up based on what you're writing, who you're writing about, what's the story you're telling, and what's the underlying issue that's stumbling you or causing you to stumble. Because most of the time, writer's block, I believe, from the research that I've done and from the years of teaching the writing incubator, I see that writer's block comes up when we're writing about something that we haven't even cleared with the person that we're writing the story about, or we haven't cleared it with ourselves. We haven't accepted the outcome enough to write about it, or sometimes you're still grieving what happened to you, so you're afraid to write about it. For example, you have such traumatic experience from hearing your parents say, oh, what you have to say is not important. So writing can seem daunting or a struggle because you're hearing these voices regurgitate or
Right.
back, and it's like, wait, do I have something important to say, or is it just me thinking too much of myself?
That's
And
what I
the world is
your
shown,
brain.
turn off the brain. The world has shown you that you are amazing. They love your storytelling,
Thank you.
and we appreciate that you were bold enough to come through and just start, just be. So I have one more question because I don't think your followers would ever forgive me if I didn't ask, what's your favorite Bruce Springsteen song and why?
Most of my followers by now know my
Okay.
favorite is, it's not his, it's a cover that he does, and
Uh-huh.
it's Dream Baby Dream. And when he sang that song in Sydney, a solo encore, I had never been allowed to dream. I never thought about dreaming.
Mm.
I was so busy doing everything I was told to do, but watching him sing Dream Baby Dream, I felt as if he were imploring himself to dream. And the music filled me and lifted me. And I floated out of the arena that night feeling as if I could dream. And it didn't happen right away. But I believe that once you feel something, it's easier to recreate it. So that song is just so, and that night, his singing of it was just really powerful for me.
Thank you for sharing. And outside of writing and doing your videos on TikTok, what brings you joy today that the old Anne never thought possible?
Well, actually, my husband and I are having a great time running around New York City with our Senni now posting videos. It's the other amazing thing. Our kids are grown and living on opposite coasts, and here now he's now 21, and we really like him, and he likes us. It's a really, and so here we are, these two 72-year-olds, and we're running around with a 21-year-old, and it just makes us feel part of the city. He takes us to these places. We would never ever go to these places on our own, and there we are. We're doing it, and we're out there, and it's fun. And you know what makes it fun? We do, like, pizza, whatever, viral places. People are it's fun for me. It wouldn't be fun, which is why I went to Paris. It wouldn't be fun for me to just do it myself, but knowing people want to see these videos, that
Yes.
I love to share. I just love to share. So knowing that they want to see about this pizza place, that makes it fun for me.
Tell me, where can we meet you for your next book signings if you have any coming up?
Yeah, I have quite a few. We'll be posting them. I have two here in the city, and
Uh-huh.
I'm actually going to be doing what's called a Moth Main Stage in New Jersey on October 18th. I have one at Radio Park, which is above City Music Hall.
Uh-huh.
October 7th. I have one in Tribeca on October 19th. And I'm also doing a TEDx talk on November 18th. I mean, and we're doing an event I'm doing an event October 2nd in Chicago, and one on Long Island November 1st. Does that help? But
My goodness.
But we're gonna post. But I post
Follow her on social media so that you can get
I
the
post
details.
all of them, and then you can register. Thank you for asking, though.
Of course, I'm gonna show up at one of them. I live here in the city, in New York, so it's close enough. So I'll figure out how can I show up to one of them in
I'd love to meet you in person.
Oh my goodness!
We'll be posting in the next. Arseni's in charge of when these things get posted, but the videos have been made, and we're waiting. There are two of them are moth events, so they're hosted by the moth. Don't get me started on the moth.
Yes, I'm familiar. And yes, I can't wait to see what you're posting next. And I am looking forward to your book, High Hopes.
Thank you very much, Denise.
You are so welcome. Take care. And I can't wait for you to come back again. If you could leave our listeners with one hope or one takeaway from your book, what would that be?
Just keep trying. Just keep trying and give yourself credit for trying.
Yes. Love it. Thank you, Anne. If you are listening and you would like to share your story and your voice, please send me an email, authordnicholson@gmail.com. I can help you get your book out of your head and onto paper and publish so the world can see your big ideas and your message. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a central hub and a safe space for authors to share their stories. Follow Dr. Denise on Facebook and Instagram at Denise Nicholson, or go to denisenicholson.com. Remember, no one can share your story better than you.